Are you saying yes to life? When opportunities arise or are presented in front of you, do you say yes? Or do you start to think about how you won't be able to do it? Or do you start to logically reason about all the ways that it's just too much for you? Or that you don't have the skill, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the wherewithal to do whatever it is in front of you. And this is not only opportunities for advancement in business or towards your goals, because you don't know the difference between which one is an opportunity to move you towards your goal and which isn't. When someone asks you to go somewhere, to a party or to some kind of an event, do you automatically say no? Because maybe you're a little nervous, you don't like social interactions, and you think, well, I'm not going to know anybody there. You never know. The person you may need to meet to move you towards your goal for the next step may be at that party or event. But you said no. We have to learn how to go with the flow of life. And I'm guilty of that too. My first thought when anybody asks me to do something that's out of my routine is no. I guess it's a part of feeling like you want to be in control. And if it's not your idea, maybe it's not good. We have to stop and think about our mind. Our thinking mind is not designed to make us extremely successful, but it is designed to keep us safe, to keep us comfortable. It's not designed or created, or however you decide to look at it, to go along with us putting ourselves at risk. Now, our creative mind, the mind that has accomplished and created so much here in this world, is the mind that wants to step out and take chances. It wants adventure. But as we know, all adventure is risky. And that brings to mind here in the U.S. in many of the first world countries, we have made things so safe that risk has been eliminated. Most risk anyway. Look at the men of the old, back in 10, 20, 30, building these skyscrapers, walking around on the beams up there without any safety harnesses. Now, I'm not saying it's not good to have safety apparatus and safety harnesses, because obviously it is, because people do fall off of those places. But there are so many things, especially I notice in the construction business, that are so safe you can't hardly do your job and really are overkill. One of the things I can think of is in these lifts, you have to wear a full harness to be in there. And now, I don't know how you could possibly fall out of these man lifts unless you climbed up on the rail and jumped out. But by the time you get your safety harness on, and if you're doing some type of work where you have to wear a mask, a breathing respirator, and goggles, and a hard hat, you can't hardly work. And as I said, I'm all for safety, but within reason. Most of the time, the people that create these devices and make these regulations are not the ones who have to work in it. So safety has its place, but yet we have to get the job done. But what does this have to do with you saying yes? Well, man continues to make things so safe, and we live in an environment that tells you to think safety first, that you're not willing to get out of your comfort zone, to take a risk. Do kids even climb trees anymore? Do they build go-karts? Do they dig in the dirt? Do they drink out of creeks? Although I don't know if you should drink out of a creek. I could when I was a kid, but I don't know if I would advise that now or not. But hey, maybe it was as bad back then as it is now, as far as the chemicals and pesticides and insecticides, etc., in the groundwater. But what I'm talking about is stepping out of your comfort zone. Say yes to that invitation. Say yes to that opportunity. And maybe you think you can't do it, and maybe you won't do it very well. But I guarantee you, you will get a feeling of exhilaration and fulfillment because you tried. And the path to success is paved with failure. If you are not willing to fail time and time again, you are not willing to succeed. Think about that. When you were a kid and you learned how to walk, how many times did you try? Did you try 4 or 5 times and say, well, I'll tell you what, this walking business is kind of tough. I'm tired of falling down, and I think people might be laughing at me, so I'm not going to try to walk anymore. I'm just going to live the rest of my life having people carry me around. No, I don't think so. You didn't do that. You continued to try until you got up and you were able to walk. Not very well at first, kind of wobbly. You would fall down sometimes. You have to be willing to fall down in life. And guess what? Just like you did when you were a little child trying to learn how to walk, you get back up. You get back up again and again, and you keep moving forward. What is the difference between a failure and a success? The successful person continues to get back up and move towards his goals. And the failure gets knocked down once or twice or a few times and he just gives up. Persistence, perseverance, fortitude, courage. And how do you get courage if you feel like you're a man full of fear? You face your fear and you do it again. I don't know how many times I failed. I can't count the amount of times I've failed. If I counted them, I probably could count up more times that I failed than I succeeded. But some of the greatest successes in our history were the greatest failures. Babe Ruth is one of them. He struck out many more times than he hit home runs. And there are countless others which I won't go into now because I can't remember all their names. But you can look them up on Google. How many times has Elon Musk tried to fly the spacecraft into orbit, outer space? I think he had a couple of rockets that blew up, didn't he? I think NASA had a few rockets that blew up and actually eliminated a few of the astronauts. And these were all failures. And those people were willing to risk their lives for the success of the astronaut program. So, how much are you willing to risk to be successful? I don't believe you're going to have to risk your life, although I'm not sure what endeavor you're into. But are you willing to take a risk? Are you willing to be embarrassed? Are you willing to have people laugh at you? Are you willing to have people ridicule you? Are you willing to have your so-called friends shun you? How badly do you want it? I remember when I first started boxing when I was 20 years old, all my friends kind of shunned me, or I thought they were my friends, because I wouldn't smoke dope with them anymore. I wouldn't drink with them anymore, because I wanted to be a good fighter. And they said things like, oh, he thinks he's better than you now that he's boxing. And still to this day, some of them don't talk to me like we used to when we hung out and drank and smoked weed together. But it's okay. I eventually moved away from that small town and started a different type of life, and I'm glad I did, because it's been a life of physical activity and fitness and sports since I was 20 years old. And it was definitely worth it, because I'm 63 now and I'm in great health, great shape. I feel good. I mean, it's paid off. But what if I would have been more worried about what my friends thought of me? You know, well, I better not do this boxing stuff. Nobody's going to like me. And then you have jealous people, you have haters. We had haters back then too. They just didn't have a social media platform. And fortunately, most of them were not brave enough to say anything to your face, as where now they can hide behind the buffer of social media and hate on you. So you're going to have some people hate on you. These are all things that make you uncomfortable. But the comfort zone is a death zone. Remember that. Make that your mantra. The comfort zone is a death zone. The uncomfortable zone is the success zone. I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day, and I wish you true success.